right, that takes us to the meat and potatoes of this episode, the heart of the episode, if you will, clubs.
You find me in the club.
Yeah, we'll make sure we splice in the 50-cent drop here. What makes a club worth joining? You know, what separates a great club from a mediocre club? What does it take to manage a club? All of these things, they're slightly different answers. It's slightly different conversations, but all totally worth talking about. So I'm really glad to have you here as a guest, Dan, as somebody who manages what I deem to be one of the coolest clubs in the area.
It's a cool kid club, for sure.
And, I want to get to this later, but I know you also are a full-time guy. You have a job, 9 to 5. He's
a guy full-time.
You are
24/7. He is a
man.
Yeah.
95% of the time, I would say, at least.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Pro player, full-time, 9 to 5, and you manage a club. So we definitely got to talk about
boyfriend.
how you
and
manage
boyfriend.
that.
You got to manage
and your
that.
boyfriend.
Boyfriends.
Oh.
Hold up.
Is that news to you guys?
Let me put a marker on that one. Boop.
Is that why everybody calls you Dad?
We're going to come back to that.
We're going to get back to that.
So yeah, let's start by the first big question. You know, what makes a club worth joining?
Yeah, so I feel like I have kind of an answer, or at least a personal answer, for any of the questions that we had last week, or, you know, some of the topics that we're going to bring up later in later episodes. I don't have a damn thing for this. Like, I don't have a frame of reference on, like, how a good club starts. How, you know, like, I see all these clubs, these local clubs, and they all seem to be sustaining themselves, you know, some better than others. I don't have any idea how really they're successful. So,
well, before we get into like the management side of it, let's talk about your experience. You know, you will have experience as being a player in clubs, I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
What clubs have you been a part of? Let's start there.
Well, we when I got here, I found J-Town, obviously, because that was, I mean, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting somebody in J-Town.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, I started in some handicap leagues and bought a tag and, you know, kind of found out what that was. I was a member of Basket Cases a while ago. You know, I still have a bunch of their tags. Unfortunately, I can't get out to play most of their stuff. We did the CSI thing for a while, but I mean, mainly J-Town seems to be the one. And to me, like, I'm a member of the club, you know, we'll go play the club challenge and I'm super proud to be a member of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't seem like there's like a brotherhood like I would imagine a club to have. Like, I don't feel like I am, you know, a huge part of a club. I just have a tag a lot of the time. They do run a ton of stuff, and I do, you know, have some pride for all of the things that they've accomplished in the area and the courses that they upkeep and, you know, and are able to sustain. And that's amazing. Things like Bird Brain, like when you see those guys, like, or Circle One, like we talked about last week, like those dudes are close.
Yep.
Well,
Die hard.
I was waiting for a time to jump in on this because when you're talking about a club like J-Town, who, like you said, they're monumental, like they're historic in the area. They've done so many things before any other clubs were around doing anything.
And to preface that, like, I haven't been a member that long, and like I moved here 6 or 7 years ago. So like, I'm sure there are members that feel differently about it than I do, but like, you know, that's just my take.
That's what I was going to say is there's so many members.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone can feel like they're, you know, this, like, there's a thing when you're in a small group, like everybody matters because there's only like 12 of us or there's only 18 of us or whatever.
Right.
But J-Town's got to have hundreds of members, right? And
Well, here, let me put it this way. I bought a J-Town tag. Like, if Basket Cases wants me to buy a tag, I'll buy their tag. Absolutely. Let's support them. I'll be a member of Basket Cases. But to get a Bird Brain tag or something, I'd be like, is there like an entrance exam?
Yeah, like I don't belong. Like, yeah,
do I have to
shouldn't
apply?
have this because
like,
I'm not
and
part
not
of
in
that.
a bad way, but like,
I'm not part of the
you know,
homies.
like if I'm going to be a member, I want to be a member. I want to represent. I need to raise my level of involvement to be a member of some of these clubs.
Well, owning a tag is not necessarily the same as being like I'm part of this club.
I'm with these people,
right?
Yeah.
Like, because I personally, anytime I go to a new event and there's a club there saying, "Yo, we have tags for sale," I'm just like, let me support the club. I don't care what you guys do, where you go.
Yeah.
I want to just, anytime I see people putting a club together, I'm like, dope, I'll support that. Also, I like having a bunch of different tags. But, you know, I mean, you can have tags from all these different clubs and not like identify as like a member of all of them.
Right.
I want to get to like the heart of this question though. You know, Sean, in your opinion, what makes a club really worth joining? Like, what are things that a club can do that make you feel good as a member, to be a part of?
Absolutely. I would say that what I like most about local clubs is that it's kind of becoming like street gangs. And I like that. I'm into that. I think that that's fun. Like, as respectfully as we can do that, fly your flag, rep your colors. Like, I want people to belong to a certain club. Hey, buy all the tags, right? Support all the clubs, obviously.
Sure.
But we need to have a way to kind of make that all make sense. Like, why are we all on different teams? Why are we all repping these specific clubs? So I think that's kind of why we are starting to dive into the DGCL stuff a little bit. We'll get to some more of that a little bit later. But that's, kind of giving purpose to flying your flag and flying your colors. I think that's a lot of fun. I think that's a really great way to create stronger relationships with your friends, the guys from your area that have an understanding of where, like basket cases guys are from typically the southeast suburbs. Like, that's where they're from. That's where Oli's at. Like, it was a different experience living in there as opposed to, where Skulls is from or where Birdbrains is from, because they're like north side guys. So like, I like that it's like that street gang feel. Rep
your turf.
Rep your turf, man. Like, I'm so into that. I've always have been. But you'll see different. Everybody kind of does their own thing. Like, I would say from my perspective, as much as I love the Skulls guys, I don't think that they are as organized financially as a club like J-Town.
Sure.
And
I think J-Town might set the bar in terms of that.
Right. And I think that's an area where J-Town excels really well, and they're very organized, and like, you go to their meetings and there's like,
that's the kind of thing I'm trying to get to.
Like,
knowing that that's one thing that J-Town does really well. It separates them from some of the other clubs is like, that financially they got their stuff together, and their organization is, some of the best out there.
Yeah.
And
Jason
that makes
Poole's going to
feel
have everything locked up pretty tight. And I have mad respect for that. They maybe don't excel so much in like a brotherhood sense, like you'll see from a Skulls or Birdbrain or Basket Cases, or I don't want to list all of them because then it's going to single out J-Town, but you guys know what I mean.
You
go to the club challenge at Lemon Lake, and Skulls had a flag. Literally, like, they had a flag, a pirate flag with
so dope.
Skull and crossbones, and it was like the coolest thing I had ever seen. I was like, I want to have that.
Right.
I want my club to have that. I want everybody to be flying flags like it's medieval times, dude. Like, let's go. That's the kind of stuff that I love. I think that's where we're going, because you're starting to see, recently J-Town has come up with, and please everybody help me because I'm not sure on all the details. Sean McCarthy is heading like a travel team, a la Basket Case is having a travel team.
I've heard of this. Yep.
So I'm not sure on all the details. I think that's where my point is I think that's where kind of the movement of the clubs is going, is like Circle One is showing up with all red shirts, and everybody's like, hold up. Like, I want my shirt for my club and to do my thing. So I think that is the sauce that you have to want to belong to a club, is that feeling of like, I'm repping a turf, I'm repping where I'm from, I'm repping the home course. And,
Dan, what do you think?
Whole movement.
Yeah, I really agree with Sean. It definitely is about repping your turf and having pride in your home course or your home area. But I think it's also about finding that good balance between competition and camaraderie. There are times where, you have a club in your local area, when they have tags, when they do leagues, but they may not be the most fun group of guys to play with, or they may not take it as seriously to the point where they're not necessarily trying to get better. They're just out to have fun.
And there's nothing wrong with
that.
There's
absolutely nothing wrong with that, because there are some days myself where I don't want to play anyone for school. I just want to go out and throw some plastic. But there are some days where, all right, I want to beat everybody. Who can I find a match with so I can beat them?
Give me that lunch money.
Well,
everybody has
Dan
that.
will do that. So
sometimes,
just not every time.
That's kind of the difference. Is you just want to find that happy medium where you can, of course, be yourself and be able to socialize and make friends and bolster friendships that you already do have, but at the same time, taking it as seriously or as lackadaisically as you want in terms of competition level. That can definitely determine what club you want to go play with. how often you go and play with that said club.
Yeah, how involved are you going to get with that club?
Exactly. So I think that just making sure you find a good balance between competition and camaraderie that fits you personally, that's what's going to help you make a good choice in what club do you want to play with? What club am I going to be happiest with, most successful with, and am I going to be prideful and happy to represent in a place like a tournament or a club challenge to where you're wearing that shirt or you're flying that flag? What's going to make you happiest and most prideful in that club?
That's exactly what I was trying to get to. I think I totally agree with Sean about being able to wave the flag, wear the colors, and just like, I'm part of this.
street
Like,
side
this
of it.
reflects what I care about.
Yes.
And something that is important to me, I don't know if everybody else feels the same way, but we need some shit talking too. Like, all in good fun.
Yeah.
But like, there's got to be
As long as it comes from a good place, then of course
there's got to be that back and forth. And with a lot of clubs, there is like,
It's starting now.
you
Seeing
can go
it.
toe to toe with anybody over basket cases,
Yep.
and it's a riot, and it's so much fun. Do it online, e-thug it if you want, or do it in person.
E-thug.
And there will be a
E-thug.
ton of that at the club challenge, and I cannot wait for that. But I want to feel like when I'm throwing jabs out, and it's a good time, like that it's taken the right way, and like we'll get it back, and like
It's all
that just
love.
bolsters
Yeah.
our love for each club.
Yeah.
Again, as long as it comes from the right place,
Yeah.
the actual words you say. I always say this, in like in sales, in relationships, whatever, where the words are coming from is so much more important than what words you used.
Sure.
I want to come back to, I agree with you about we need more competition. We need more people like getting, amped up to represent a club. But I like a lot what you were saying, Dan, that the thing that gives that heart and the thing that gives that like substance is caring about what this club cares about. So knowing sort of like what the mission is of this club, like why do these guys
Right.
exist?
Right.
What, are they just a club to mess around and have fun? Cool. Like I'm down for that. Like that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or is it a club who like, that these guys go out of their way to raise funds to make course improvements, or their mission is to help beginners take the game more seriously, or whatever it is, you want to find out what does this club really stand for, and which one of these do I identify with the most, and then just wearing a shirt because it's a cool shirt is like fine, but you want to wear a shirt that represents what you believe in, and I think the club leaders that are very clear about that, like what's our mission and why do we do this, I think those are the ones that end up having the most impassioned membership. The people who people who are like, I'm going to bend over backwards to help my club leader because I really believe in what he's trying to do and what he's trying to achieve, or what she's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So I
Isn't
think
Basket Cases raising funds to like eventually buy a property, or did I ever? That's
That's
a thing,
as
right?
of like last year. We were talking
Yeah.
to Joe and Gary
like
about
that's
it.
The end goal is
And
to have
Pat
enough
Boson,
money raised,
Mhm.
which
Shout
I think
out
is
to those
amazing.
guys. Yeah.
That's exactly
What a
what you're
goal
saying is
to
like
have.
having
Like,
that thing to work towards.
yeah, and even if for some unforeseen reason, if they never get to that point, I know that they're a good portion of the way there, and like whatever they have raised, they can use for anything, and I'm sure it would be
Right.
put to fantastic
Oh,
use.
100%.
But yeah, if they get to that point, I mean, what higher goal? I'm sure there are loftier goals that you could probably get, but that's huge.
That's up
good
there.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
again, like having a goal is really important, but I mean, even if the goal is just like we just want to have a damn good time, if that's your goal and you're like achieving that, then kick ass. Like
Awesome.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's exactly what your members are going to get, what they want. And again, it's like what we talked about last week, just knowing your intent.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a club leader who really understands the intent of what they want to achieve with their club, that's when you start seeing clubs do really good things in the membership, where the people are like I said, they just want to do more to help further the club's mission. And it really means a lot when they go out and they wear those shirts. So to me, kind of the next question I wanted to get to, which is, what separates a great club from the mediocre clubs? To me, the first answer to that question is, what do they stand for? Do they stand for, again, it doesn't have to be the most noble thing, but just like know what you stand for and rep that.
Yeah.
That makes it easy for people to gravitate to.
Well, how did Bird Brain start?
That's a great question because I'm not even the founding father of Bird Brain.
Ooh, it gets deeper.
I
It
had
does.
no
It does.
idea.
I actually, when I first started playing disc golf. The first league I ever played in was the Bartlett Sunrise Park Doubles League, put on by my good buddy Paul Kenny, and
Now works for Discraft.
yes, he does.
Yes,
Shameless
he
plug.
does.
Shout out to Paul. He better be
Discraft.
listening.
I became partners one day with Mr. Kyle Fitzpatrick, who was one of the administrators of Bird Brain at the time, and met me. And I had 2 discs. I had a Nuke OS as my driver,
Of
just
course you
throwing
did.
45-degree chop Anheuser sidearms, and I was putting with a DX Rock.
God, I love
so
that.
if you need 2 discs
The
to start
humble
out, if you're listening brand
beginnings,
new, Nuke OS and DX Rock, you will do great.
You'll be 1,000 rated in no time.
I was partners with Kyle at Bartlett, and he obviously saw some sort of skill in me to invite me to come play with Bird Brain, and I was just like, oh, what is that? I don't know that I'm willing to embarrass myself yet on a more serious level. I barely want to come out to this Bartlett Doubles League, but I did come out to Bird Brain, and Kyle, Will Russell, as well as Anthony Perez were the administrators that ran Bird Brain, as well as some other OG Bird Brain members that that helped start the club. And I came out, and as soon as I started coming out, really, I loved helping out in terms of signups, doing anything I could to assist tags getting out quicker.
That's how it starts.
All of a sudden, all 3, Anthony, Kyle, and Will, took jobs out of state. They all left within about a 2-month period.
You got more
and-
involved, and they were like, "I'm out of here."
Well, it was that's
He's putting with a DX Rock
Damn
guy.
Dan guy.
Dude, he will not leave. I'm leaving.
it was more so that they noticed that I was interested in helping out, and they helped me transition into being able to maintain everything that went on. They held my hand through the entire process, everything that was involved. Some stuff had to be learned kind of on the fly as well.
Was there any part of you that was like, I don't really want all this responsibility?
At first, for sure. At first, I was kind of just like, what did I just get myself
Yeah, it's
into?
intimidating.
And how long ago was this?
This was in 2016. So this was
my-
4
Not
years
that
ago.
long ago.
No, really not that long
Yesterday.
ago.
This
Wait,
was
you
yesterday.
didn't you start playing in 2016?
That was my first PDGA year, but I first started playing disc golf in like 2013, 2014, casually, recreationally,
Wow.
college buddies.
See,
and
these are
stuff
the
like
guys that I talk to and then absolutely realize that I will never be more than, rec.
Yep.
Professional rec right here.
Yep.
Oh, I started 3 years
Just
ago and
waiting
I'm
for-
1,008 rated.
Oh, I've
No
been
big
playing
deal.
for 15 years, and I'm still in rec.
Just waiting for MA40, man.
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
That's
I can
all
play
I'm
this
doing.
year.
Just
MA40.
watching Dan Schlitter from MA40.
Yep.
That's what we're doing.
Yep. Please
Nuts.
continue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no problem. So what it was just kind of working through the growing pains, as well as realizing the hard way that you are not going to please everybody. That's probably rule number 1 for anybody who runs a club, helps out with your club leaders. It's impossible. I cannot stress that enough.
And you know what? That's part of my shout out earlier to Leo. He is the proponent of not going to please everybody. So sit down. We're going to run it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of my favorite thing about this.
Yeah.
At some point, you just got to do it.
That's absolutely true. And I think that's kind of what I was unaware of when I got my feet wet.
I think that's
with this.
everybody's mistake.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was afraid to tell people no. I was afraid to tell people, sorry, you're 5 minutes late. We can't
already
wait
teed
for
off,
you.
dog.
That's such an uncomfortable conversation.
All of those
worst.
types of things where at first I was shaking because I saw somebody pull up 10 minutes late, and I'm like, oh
Like,
my
oh,
God,
here
I
it
don't want
comes.
to have to tell.
Yeah.
It's
Am I
just
gonna have to be that guy?
it's just things like that at first where I was more intimidated by hurting people's feelings.
Sure.
More so than just focusing on doing whatever it took to run the club to the best of my ability. Once I came to that conclusion that you were not going to please everybody, things became much easier.
So today, if somebody shows up late to Bird Brain, are you like, sorry, man, you missed it?
It's definitely a situational decision for sure. Usually I try and give benefit of the doubt if they send me a text message or send me a Facebook message
Sure.
saying, hey, ETA 10:03. I know league starts at 10. I'll put them on a card really close to the parking
Exactly.
lot and let their card know, hey,
So there's
so and
some-
so is running a little bit late.
Which is
just
what
wait a couple
I
minutes.
feel like anybody should do.
It's
You know,
not an
that's
iron
part of the
fist.
deal.
you'd be
You have
surprised,
some
but, like,
flexibility.
If that's anything that anybody hears during this episode, if you're running late, let people know. And then there's ways for it to be incredibly easier for the guy running the
It
tag,
takes so much
leagues,
stress off the
whatever.
person who's organizing things.
Just let them know.
Don't put them in that
They'll
awkward
fix it,
situation.
and then you show up and you're ready to rock.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's it's an interesting subject I want to talk a little bit more about being put in that situation of having to say the thing that's kind of hard to say. And I think it's one of those things that really makes, like, great leaders have that ability to say what needs to be said, even though it's like not the fun thing to say. And I think it's one of those things that helps people rally around somebody like, man, that guy just handled that situation really well. And I really respect that. So, for example, I've had, I when I was running Disc Golf Chicago leagues regularly, we had an incident where somebody was super intoxicated, like at leagues, which is, on one hand, I'm like, kind of whatever. It was kind of annoying, but I just like whatever. And then there was a incident. We were at Shanahan, and we were up by hole 18, so near the pavilion, and there was a family there having like a family reunion. And there was an older couple standing next to the basket just checking it out. You could tell they were just like, what the heck is this thing?
Is this a grill?
Yeah, like they were just totally confused. And this guy starts screaming at them like, get the out of the way, and making a scene. And I'm like, this is making us all look bad. Like, I'm going to have to say that I'm like, hey, you need to cut that out. That's not how we handle things here. And, that's not going to be welcomed back, kind of thing. And it was a little awkward. Like, everybody was kind of like, ooh, like dad just yelled. But
yeah.
I think in the long run, that kind of thing really helps set standards. And I think people end up responding better to that than, like, had I let it go and said nothing, that also sets a standard. Like, right. That's like, okay, we can
leading from the front, man, just taking it head on and taking on those responsibilities.
Yeah. And the things that are harder to say sometimes are like the most important defining moments.
Absolutely.
So. In tournaments, who I've seen that does a really good job with that is Steve Ratchin, because he is so knowledgeable about the rules and how he thinks tournaments should run, whether they should be run that way or not. He's so confident with what he wanted to do that I've seen him at Clash just pretty much say, this is the rule, this is what happens, that's it. And like, there is no decision to be made. There is no, well, I thought, no.
Good.
This is it. You got a 4, you got a 7, whatever it is, your provisional was wrong, like that kind of thing. And that's it. And the people turn around and walk away, and that's the end of it. Like, nothing more comes of it. Whereas, where if he's at all ever wishy-washy about that stuff, that'll go on for days.
Yeah.
And that, sets a bad standard. And he was always really good at that. And
that
that's
reminds
something I
me
want to take away.
of Mike Krupika. I've heard from a couple people like, man, he's really a stickler for rules. Like, he'll stroke you for this or that. And I'm like, good. I want him to stroke everybody for everything, and everybody is better because of it. Like, just be clear about the rules.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a double standard. Correct. Yeah.
Just everybody is better when we all know the rules. There's no wishy-washiness. There's no arguing. I would much rather play in an event like that than one where somebody might argue their way out of a situation because they felt, unfair about it.
And people might not like it, but he's in a position where, as a state coordinator, I don't want to say he should be held to a higher standard, but he shouldn't let things like that go, without being said and without being called. And, good for him for doing that.
Yeah, I love those events. Anything that he has his name on, I'm like, yeah, I'm into that.
He was just here yesterday. I saw him last night.
Oh, no kidding.
He picked up shirts for the 100th iOS in Rockford.
Awesome.
That it also sold out super quick.
Another shout out to Mike is that he does these awesome.
Almost sold out. Yeah,
divisions, I think the only ones that are open.
Right on.
Mike makes these awesome wooden minis. I'm sure, I don't know, you guys probably all have one, but I bought one from him like 4 years ago. It's just rock solid. It's beautiful. It's the only thing I've had in my disc golf life that I've had for like 4 years.
Oh, that's cool.
And he sells them at a like super reasonable price, and I think everybody should have one. So
cool.
Yeah.
Getting back to club things, I think we diverged about.
I don't want to dive into like how things are for you as the club lead. Like, do you guys have meetings for Bird Brain? Like, how does that all work with the logistics of the club and everything? Like, dive into that. I'd love to hear how that is, because I've been a part of it for a couple of other clubs, and I know what it's been like for those clubs. Like, what is it like for Bird Brain?
That's an awesome question. First of all, a club leader is only as good as his supporters as well as his members or her members. That being said, it's just so important to make sure you're not doing it alone, and that you have those people or those individuals that act as your right and left hands, your brain, everything, because you can't do it alone. And I think that's kind of what I learned the hard way when I first became the administrator of Bird Brain, was that I was trying to do everything by myself. And it was stressful, and it didn't feel as rewarding until I let myself ask for help, and I brought more people into that administrative side. So
it's becoming too much of a job. Like,
yeah, you could say that too, but I wanted other people to experience the ups, the downs too, but mainly the ups of what it was like to be in that position. So, quick shout out to Tom Kuzniar and Carino Torres, who are my two administrative assistants. I'll call them. But in reality, it's all of our club. I'll never call it my club. I'll never call myself the president. I just feel like all three of us are admins, and we run it equally. We all have our responsibilities.
Stop being so cool, Dan.
Yeah,
no. That's I feel like to kind of to highlight the main meat and potatoes of the discussion. Like, that's what makes a club great, is making it everybody's club. You don't want, I never want to say this is my club or this is my tournament just because I'm helping make the main decisions or doing the main planning or anything like that. That's not the case.
So you set your ego aside. It's so much easier to follow a leader who, they're not doing this for their own little cool points.
Absolutely.
They're doing it because
they believe in the collective.
Something to believe in,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's cool. And I see two trains of thought that work or don't with clubs: is nobody wants to help, or there's the, president, leader, and it's hard for them to delegate because they just want to do it all themselves. I'm guilty of like, just give me that.
For sure.
Just let me do it.
Everybody is.
Nobody can, you can't do that alone. So if you can balance that, that's, kudos.
So do you guys have like monthly meetings, bi-monthly meetings? Is it just group chat? Like, how is it all how are you guys communicating? Like, how does a communication aspect work of Bird Brain?
That information is classified.
No,
I'm just
how
kidding.
dare you?
The three of us have a group chat. We actually had brought in a couple more administrative assistants. I can more logically call those
assistants to the
assistants to just help out, even if it's just running leagues. It's so helpful. But we have one really big meeting that we go sit down, have some lunch, and make sure that we know every single thing that we plan on doing this year. What changes do we need to make? What did we do really good last year that we want to bring back? What can we do better? Things of that nature. That's probably, we have one really big meeting that we probably sit down for a couple of hours right before the season starts. But we have small talks together in person after the season is over, just to make sure we're highlighting the successes as well as what we could have done better. I think it's important to get together and take notes and do whatever you can to kind of get that good insight. But at the same time, let it flow, let the club run itself at the same time. And I think that's the happy medium between that is kind of what's...
You could easily overcomplicate it. And
For sure. It's definitely something that you can just simplify and say, this is what we need to do better. This is what we did really well. This is our plan for this year. Let's do it, guys.
Is there any kind of fundraising or goal that so home course, Shady Oaks? What is home course for
Home
Bird Brain?
course for Bird Brain is Rolling Knolls in Elgin, Illinois.
Rolling Knolls. But you do a lot of stuff at Shady.
We do a lot of Shady. I would definitely call Shady DGU's home course, which is basically like our sister club.
See, you're the north. You're like the Cubs, man. I'm the Sox down here on the south side. Like,
what
I'm
older
south
brother
of
club?
88,
Black Bear
man.
then? Because you guys play there.
Black Bear's our winter course. We play. We run the winter doubles at Black Bear. We try to avoid tag rounds at Black Bear during the warmer months because they don't mow it or trim it. So
my favorites.
If you want burrs, go to Black Bear.
Yeah,
Black Burrs. But otherwise, Rolling Knolls, shout out to Dana Vici for throwing that in. Forest Preserves of Cook County did something right.
Super fun course.
Well, except for the way the baskets are positioned. They're not facing the right way.
Well,
there's nothing we can do about that.
I'm a details
Get
guy.
on that.
I want to go fix it.
But Rolling Knolls is our home course. We're happy to call it our home course. We've been happy to get locks on all the baskets that we have the keys for, so we can move them around and keep the greens nice.
That's huge.
We've been working with them. We raised about $850 just through Black Bear doubles this year that this winter, I should say, that we're going to utilize for railroad ties to control the irrigation around some of the muddier
hell yeah.
tees.
I mean,
and just
so smart.
whatever we can do. I mean, we've got PVC plugs and all the unused sleeves to make sure that the mowers aren't running them over. Because I think within the first 2 months of the course, 3 of the sleeves were destroyed by mowers.
Sure.
I remember that, yeah.
Working with the Forest Preserve and just kind of doing whatever we can to make whatever improvements that they'll allow us to do. A lot of red tape with the Forest Preserve, as I'm sure a lot of people know. But whatever we can do to improve the courses, not only Rolling Knolls, but all courses around our areas, if it's sponsorships for tee signs or tees in general, or anything we can do to kind of make the courses better, that's really what we do in terms of fundraising and where our dollars go that we generate from leagues, as well as any boosters that we perform over the year.
That's one. I'm going to ask you a hard question. Is there an aspect of administrating the club that you do not like, or you don't enjoy, or that you don't feel that you do well?
For not liking, again, I would say just telling people no and making those hard decisions. It's never going to get easier. It's always going to suck. Most recent example, the club challenge roster.
There's a lot of feelings around something like that.
It's brutal because everybody is so prideful in wanting to represent their club.
Why was it like because you won last year or something?
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with the fact that we're defending champions, but at the same
everybody
token,
wants that Super Bowl ring.
At the same token,
do.
I mean, we did lose 4 spots per club this year just because we're growing so much and we have so many great clubs to include to expand, which is amazing. If you
Shout
ask
out to
me,
Circle One.
Circle One, welcome. You're going down.
What are they up to now? How many clubs are competing?
I think there's 8 clubs.
8 clubs.
We've got 8 clubs this year, and that's amazing.
So cool.
But it makes the decisions harder to say, all right, who goes on this roster?
Yeah.
It's the toughest decision, and telling those people like, hey, I have to put you on the reserve list because these other 36 people showed up to leagues more than you, or these people were on the roster last year and show up when they say they're going to show up. And it's just things like that where you don't want to have to burn bridges or do anything like that in order to administer what you need to do. And at the on the same token, it does give you that a little more respect from everybody for making those decisions and being in that position, but it still sucks to tell people no, especially those of them who are like your friends.
Yeah.
That sucks.
One alternative that I see that I thought was cool was basket cases. Kenny Slauson is taking care of that. And all the reserve guys have to play the guys in the upper rankings for spots, because there are so many basket cases dudes that want to play that like you need to prove to your club that you belong in those. And so there are, match play or stroke play, however, style playoffs.
Love that.
To get those spots. And that's a really cool way to do that.
Is there an algorithm
nerves,
for you, like figuring out who's going to be on the roster and who's not? Like, what is your criteria for that?
I don't have a set algorithm in terms of, I'm taking, 7 of the highest rated for that pool, and then the last 2 will be whoever accumulated the most points last season.
It makes me feel so much better because
I
would think that you would nerd out hard on that.
I don't.
It makes me feel better.
I want to make it.
You're telling me you don't have a spreadsheet with all the.
No, I'm not telling you that at all. I do have a spreadsheet.
The accountant's got
everybody's
a
name,
47 tabs
PDGA rating,
Yeah.
Everything. But at the same time, I would say I just want to make sure I'm touching on everybody who played in years past that has shown up when they say they're going to show up. But I also want to make sure I'm including a crop of fresh faces who have never experienced the club challenge before. I don't want to take this, no offense to the 40 I had last year because we won the damn thing, but I don't want to take that same group of 40 if it's not going to mean as much to 4 new guys who just joined Bird Brain last year, who are super excited about the club and they want to participate in the club challenge. I think those are the kinds of people that you need to cater to, because that's what the growth of the sport is all about. So I think it's just making sure you have a good mix of all of your returners and your dedicated players, but at the same time, you want to introduce the club challenge and anything club related to those fresh faces to keep them hungry and excited and motivated.
If only there was a way for club members who weren't at the top of their clubs to compete in club-based challenges.
Huh.
If only
That's
there
a
was a
good
way to
idea.
clone Dan Schlitter. Where are we at on that, scientists?
Talk to the doc. Okay, we've been on this for a long time. Probably time to move on to the next subject. Before we do, I want to touch on one last thing that I don't think we talked enough about with the clubs and what makes it good or not good. We'll just get your opinion and we can all chime in. Dan, what do you think is something that a club can do that would make that would harm the club or sort of like make it a lower tiered club compared to the people who are doing things really right? What's something that a club leader
Easy
can
mistake
do?
to make.
Yes. I would say the answer to that is establishing structure. That is the most important thing, hands down. If you're going to be a club leader or if you're going to be a leader in any position, you need to have a set framework of what are you doing? What are you doing it for?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you doing it for? And those answers should all be for the love of the game, to promote the love of the game, and to get as many players involved and continue to love the game as possible. That is so important to be able to, whether it's putting out a document at the beginning of the year, hey, this is what our league does. This is what your dues are going to be. This is where your money's going. Or here's your league schedule for the year. We're going to do tags on Thursday, doubles on Sunday. Or just the simple thing of this is where your dollars go. This is what we're going to do. These are the tournaments we are going to run. This is what's going on. I think that getting that initial framework and mindset of this is what my club is doing, or this is what I want to have go on with this league or with this club, that's kind of what's going to get your following and get people excited because they know what they're showing up for.
After you've figured out the structure, there's still the communicating it to your people in the right way so everybody knows what's like. There's a transparency thing, there's a communication thing, and it all starts with the organization. So I guess we're saying the clubs that are kind of lacking in those areas, they're the ones who are going to have less than what they could have in terms of membership and future growth and all the opportunities that come with running a great club. So it's great insight. So I think we covered a whole lot of ground there. I think that'll give people a good idea of something to think about for the club. For those of you who are in clubs, have a think about what your club means to you and why you're a part of it and why you're proud to be a part of it. And if you think there's things that your club can be doing better, it's good to think about those things and voice them, of course, respectfully. And do what you can to help further your club's mission. I think we have to be really grateful for the leaders of the great clubs we have. But like Dan was saying, the support that leader gets, that's the game changer. I mean, that's what it's like an X factor. So yeah.
I think there's something else too. I think that as we talk about all this stuff, it's almost like we're taking for granted that what we are referring to with the communication is the use of social media. And how easy that is now in comparison to clubs 15, 20 and beyond years ago.
Not even that long.
Yeah, not even that long.
Yeah.
So, it's funny how we just assume that when we're talking about all this stuff and we're talking about the tools and being able to communicate and be a leader and do all these things, that a big part of it is literally using Facebook and how important it is for Dan to reach the entire club with one send, one click, one whatever. So I think there's something to be said about that, like how amazing that
even
is
just managing
nowadays.
all the communication within the club is like a part-time job. So when that's why we're all so curious about having a full-time job, being a pro player, managing a club, and like I know the communication that's a part-time job in itself. So we're gonna get to that. It is time to introduce the first new segment. Mailbag. Okay, so this is where we address some of the questions that we've picked up from you guys from social media over the last week. These are coming to us from Instagram, Facebook. I want to say email, but that didn't actually happen. But maybe one day we'll get an email question.
Telegraph.
Yeah. Somebody send a pigeon.
Pony Express.
Morse code.
So, the very first question, and I think it's one we've all been waiting for you to answer, so coming right at you. From Walter Miley on Instagram, that happens to be a very good friend of mine, Andy O'Day, who is basically the VP of Disc Golf Chicago and helped to run everything basically from day one. He wants to know, Dan, you're a pro player, you have a full-time job, you run a club. How do you prioritize all that and still manage to include time for yourself?
That's a great question, but I think it's funny because finding time for all that, I find myself doing club stuff at work, doing work stuff during tournaments and doing tournament preparation during leagues and club stuff. So there's always stuff going on, but man, to me, life's all about balance. And I'm definitely fortunate enough to be in the position where I am to have elevated my game to the point where I can play on the professional level. My competition drive comes from 24 years of baseball. I played baseball in college. I mean, all the way up through college, and I never stopped being hungry for competition. And I was a pitcher, so I felt kind of like an individualist on the baseball field, even though I had 8 other guys behind me playing defense.
Can you imagine Dan throwing down from that high at you while you're holding a bat?
Yeah, you're at bat, and
I'd run away.
Dan Schlitter is staring at you.
No, I'm good.
Cool.
If he's not throwing underhand, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
we can set up a club versus club pickup
Softball
baseball
league?
game.
Oh,
No, I'm saying
stop it.
hardball. I don't play that.
Don't give me
softball
something
crap.
else to have to organize because I'll do it, Dan.
I'll do, dude, a softball league.
It would happen so
Stop.
quickly. But I think I have that competitive drive from so many years of baseball. Taking that into disc golf, not only the throwing motion, but just the hunger for the competition, I'll say, that was a seamless transition. And just getting the guidance into the game and learning more from leagues and tournaments and all the people that I've met through the great game have led me to elevate the game to a point where I'm able to play it at the level I am.
I want to frame this question in a more challenging way, if you don't mind.
Do it.
You have a tournament on Saturday, Sunday. You have a 2-day
you're
tournament coming up.
You're going exactly where I was going to go.
It's Friday night, or it's Friday afternoon. You know you need to get out and practice at least a little before Saturday, Sunday, but you also have a relationship, something you need to do for work, some family thing to do. How are you making the decision of like, am I going to go get the practice I need to compete, or am I going to, how are you doing all that prioritizing?
Well, I definitely would be fired if I decided to just get up from my desk and say, I got to go get a half an hour of putting in, forget this month-end close accounting process. I'm just going to go warm up. That's not always the case. I'll take you back to Sandy Point, Northwoods this past year. I was fortunate enough to take down the tournament, but I worked until 7:00 that night, closing out the books for month-end on that Friday. I got to Wisconsin at 2 a.m. I putted in the front yard for about a half an hour, went to bed at 2:30, woke up at 6 and shot this hot round behind Kale,
Wow.
but shot the hottest round of my life at 10:46 on 4 hours of sleep, sleeping on a futon after 6 hours of driving.
That's the
Almost
trick.
Michael Jordan flu kind of.
I need
Oh, 100%.
We all need futons.
It's
That's
a
the
matter
trick.
of making sacrifices all across the board, though, too, because there are going to be tournaments I can't play because of work. There are going to be club events I can't run that I want to run because I have a big tournament I'm obligated to play. I can't really say there are work functions I'm going to skip because of disc golf, but there just has to come a time where you do need to prioritize. All right, I need to do this. I need to plan around this. And if I have time, I'll sprinkle in a little bit of this. So I think it's just about finding that balance and making sure that, as cheesy as it sounds, working hard translates into being able to play as hard as you can. So just making sure I put the time in, doing what I need to do allows me to give everything I have into doing what I want to do.
Do what you got to do so you can do what you want to do.
Amen.
Baller. All right.
I think too, I mean, watching you be you from afar is like, you don't ever feel sorry for yourself. You went balls out, even though you knew you were on 3.5 hours of sleep. Like, you're just going to do it. Your mental game is locked up. Like, your confidence.
I know exactly what you mean.
exude that stuff.
Some
I don't know
people
if you do, but you do. Like, I'm sure that you know that you do, but it's cool to watch like a guy like you that it's as good as finding that balance, doing all those things, and being one of the top rated pros in the state of Illinois and one of the raddest dudes.
I think
know.
not feeling sorry for yourself is such a important part
Yeah.
of what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you
'cause
could have easily just showed up to Sandy Point and said, "Dude, oh my God, man, I had to do
So many people
I had
love to
close
do
out
that.
the month, and I had work." Like, there's
Before
so
the
many
round
guys,
starts, they're going to tell
everybody's
you
got-
all the reasons why they're not going to have a
Yep,
good round.
Everybody's got bad beats, and like your mental game has got to be unbelievable to balance all that stuff. And we see you.
Thank you.
We see it happen.
I still think it's the futon, but sure.
yeah, and the
Could be.
futon. Yeah,
It was
it's
magical.
futon.
Yeah.
All right. The next question is for you, Sean. I am very excited to hear your response to this.
Oh God,
This comes from Rafa Ambreezy on Instagram.
he's
Breezy.
dope.
Rough,
Love him.
What happened to the B pin on hole 10?
Oh no. We're going to go into Hello Darkness, my old friend. Dude. So here is the story that I was told, and this is the story that we're going to stick to. First and foremost, I love the Lockport Park District. I believe in them. We're a team. It's not their side and disc golf side. It's we act and do things as one. If they come to a conclusion that something needs to be done, and I don't agree with it, I have to take the stance of it is what it is, because I don't own this property. I'm not Mike Cousins. I don't own, you know what I mean? This is, I'm
sometimes
here.
It doesn't matter if you liked that hole that way.
Yeah.
Something had to change.
So what I was told when I asked about why that tree was cut down was that the Lockport Park District does what they call World War II days in September. It usually falls around September 11th. It's a whole weekend event. In what we know as holes 7, 8, 10, 11, and 12 is also known as the World War II field. So if you've been out to Delwood around September and you see all of like the sandbags built up around hole 8, it's because they do a big war reenactment in that field. So they actually, in the past, and are continuing to do landing helicopters in the field.
That's pretty cool.
In and around hole 11's tee box. I've been here. I've seen it. It's true. They do land helicopters. This is a thing. It's a big Black Hawk helicopter. They are landing 2 of them. Where those helicopters are landing, the tree was in the airspace.
What about leaving one of the helicopters in the space where the tree was and just make it a permanent course obstacle?
That's an expensive rental right there.
That's an expensive Mando.
Let's not get bogged down in details.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is a story that I was told. I believe it to be true. That's what it is. But it sucks. I'll be the first guy. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It sucks.
For sidearm players too. I mean, I love the B-pin, and that tree gave me some advantage.
I am a course designer. I am a hole designer. When I put the B-pin on a hole 10, it was exactly there because of that exact tree. And that is lost and gone forever. You can't replace that. But I have to be proactive about it. I can't feel bad for myself. I can't feel bad for the situation. Sure. I have to take it head on, and I have to absorb the BS. And then I have to go, okay, I've got 1,000 dudes to answer to now.
Yeah.
I've got everybody, Rafa included, to answer to of why. Dude, why is what?
How could you let this happen, Sean?
Right. And I didn't even know what was happening. It got cut down. Troy Berzawa came in that day when it happened and was like, hey, did you know they're currently cutting down the tree on hole 10?
Did you know there's a tragedy occurring as we speak?
Yeah. So tree is gone. I did. I'll be honest with you guys. I called up the park district. I talked to Jeff. I was maybe a little bit more heated than I needed to be. I was a little upset. I wanted to be included in that decision making. Had I known prior to the tree being cut down that it was for those reasons, it would have been easier to swallow than finding out after the fact.
Sure.
So I've talked to Jeff. The tree is cut. It ain't coming back. So we're proactively figuring out a solution to bring back the feel of that hole. We've talked about possibly planting maybe some shorter trees or shorter bushes to make that what it needs to be now that tree is gone.
Cool. My gripe with it is that the fundraising and the course funds and all of that have gone into planting all of those trees on 8 and on 7. I mean, that's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that Delwood Disc Golf has taken and planted in the ground. And 150 yards away, they cut a tree down that is probably 150 years old.
Oh, easily. Yeah, it was an old tree.
What is the thought process? I know you're not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. Where was the forethought? Do you guys need one more helicopter for 1 or 2 days a year? Is that worth the life of that tree?
150
Which
years.
is more than just a hole on a disc golf course in a park. That tree represents so many years. And then it is also the important portion of that disc golf hole. There's so many layers to why that should have stayed.
Yeah.
And for the reason to be that a helicopter needs to land there for half an hour on 1 day a year is not the answer that anyone needs to hear.
I was more emotionally affected being a hippie than I was a disc golfer. Like, it was it was hippie first, then disc golfer, then somebody please explain to me why this tree is cut.
Why is this happening? I am going to move us along because I was like, Sean's going to get fired up about this question. I did not expect Ryan to get as fired up as he did, but I like it.
I'm mad.
I mean, I completely agree with Ryan, but you know, I have to be able to find the proactive solution and move on and be the daddy.
Turn that fire into, you know, something that makes
we gotta,
that better.
you know, this is the stuff that happens. You know, we can't be mad at the park district for not understanding disc golf course design. That's insane.
Sure.
Right?
Especially
the guys that were literally cutting it down were just like, hey, we were told to cut the tree down.
Right.
They weren't like, hey, is Sean going to be mad that this, you know, like they have no idea. They don't know. So it's just, it is what it is. And believe me, Rafa, when I say this, you know this, I'm going to do everything in my power to make it right and to make it better and to take Delhi to the next level. So just trust the process and trust in the people.
I mean, I'm a little reluctant to keep on this really sort of serious note, but this question comes to us from Ishmael Ochoa on Facebook. He wants to know everyone's take on, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh man,
my Lord.
I struggle to say it is.
Dan looks mind blown.
Well, I've heard this question before, so I've had some time to think, and I'm going to go with no, because the bun of a hot dog is one piece of bread.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, mind blown.
Yeah.
Are you? So,
wow.
Okay, I'm going
What's
to
up?
agree, and I'm going to add on to that because I feel like two pieces of bread has a little bit of crust around the outside, and that whole bun is basically the butt. Like, it's all crust.
Yeah.
So I don't classify that as a sandwich. Absolutely
No.
not.
I
In a
know
category of its
sandwiches
own.
have two pieces of bread. That is the way I was raised. That's what my mom taught me. I'm
is the
sticking
way.
with it.
This
more
is the
more
way.
power
If
to
a
all
hot dog
three of
was
you.
a sandwich,
I'm
we
anti.
wouldn't call it a hot dog.
I'm the opposite. I think it's definitely a sandwich. I think
Under what reason? Why? Why is it a sandwich?
because it's meat between bread, and it's not.
How is it between bread? It's one piece of bread.
Well, there's obviously a crevice, and I mean, I know it's not two separate pieces, but it's behind two sections of bread.
Fight.
I'm not buying it, Alex.
Well, we're gonna deal with this shit after the episode.
Unreal.
Taking it outside. All right. Another question for
Facebook
you,
Live
Dan.
this.
Tristan Rogers, Tristal on Instagram, wants to know, on a windy day, how does high wind impact your disc selections? And then how do you deal with the disc selections for headwinds, tailwinds, crosswinds? I guess it's sort of any insight you can give on, where does the wind play in setting up your bag?
Yes.
Well, you either choose the Nuke OS or the DX Rock, right? Because you only have two. You only have two in the plastic bag.
Yeah, Sean answered the question exactly how I would.
All
So
right,
let's
we're
move
moving on.
It's a Burcott's bag.
In wind. So I love to putt in wind personally. I love.
All right, this is over. It's over.
I love
Interview
headwind
over.
putts. I love putting
Cool,
into
thanks,
headwinds. It's all a matter of nose angle, more so than disc selection. I don't feel like you need to necessarily change up your bag a ton for high winds or low winds. Maybe put in an extra overstable disc just to be able to hold up against the winds. But regarding just high winds in general, it's all nose angle sensitive. So you want to make sure you're not exposing the bottom of that disc's flight plate to the wind, because that's when you're going to lose control
Which
of your
we
shots.
have all done.
Not me.
Oh, yeah.
Don't lump me in with you guys.
Oh, yeah. So I think making sure the
You
nose
were
angle,
throwing a hot dog at the time.
especially,
That's
I think making sure the nose angle, especially with your drivers, stays down, as opposed to getting any sort of exposure underneath the flight plate, is what's going to keep your disc cutting through those high winds, regardless if it's a headwind, tailwind. But at the same time, headwind, you want to usually stable up or snap it on a hyzer and keep that nose down. Tailwind, that's when you want to bust out a little anhyzer and let it ride that anhyzer on that tailwind and go as far as it can.
That is the best feeling in disc golf,
yes.
in my opinion.
And then putting wise, headwind putts, aim at the or the top of the cage. Tailwind putts, you want to release that putt at the band, if not higher than the band, because that is gonna drop.
You would not believe how many times I have that conversation in the shop and how I get the moments, like when I start talking about wind manipulation with disc choices. And it's, the
when you realize
overstable in a headwind, understable in a tailwind, people are like, oh my God.
Yeah, just when it clicks that in a headwind, the disc is essentially moving through the air faster, because not only are you throwing it, but the wind is counteracting it. So, the faster you throw a disc, the more tendency it will be to stable up or turn. And so as soon as you understand that, it starts to click with you. Like, oh, okay, now I need to know. In crosswinds, it's different. Like you kind of have to experience that, exposing the flight plate to really understand how it works. But
Yes.
you know, straight head and tailwinds, like once you get it, like it's
That is an aha moment in your
sure.
personal
I think I
disc golf
just had
career.
it just now.
Oh my god.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You're
can
welcome.
make the check payable to Dan Schlitter.
There are a few more questions here. I think we're going a little long, so I'm gonna okay. There's 2 more we gotta hit. One super quick. Ryan, Adam Berkovich. I don't know how to pronounce that. For Facebook,
Berkovic?
he just wants to know, how do you look so good every day?
you try.
I think he's talking to me.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Just beauty sleep and face cleanser, and that way, you know, your cheeks shine, and that's what people really want to pinch. And
So hot
Unless you're
dogs have
going to
nothing
shoot
to
a
do
hot
with it.
hot
round.
dogs have nothing to do
Because
with
then you
it.
don't need sleep.
Yeah, that's correct.
This
And
is
Ryan,
So
what's
it
your
depends on
I
the
secret?
mean,
day.
my answer was going to be not try at all and throw on the clothes you had from yesterday and throw a hat on.
An
Done.
unstable hat?
Yep.
Obviously.
That
An
goes without
unstable-
saying.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question that we
Mhm.
have is so relevant to what we've been talking about. I definitely going to pronounce this incorrectly. Jeff
Svikoda.
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 Jeff
Svikoda.
Svikoda.
There you go. Boom.
Jeff
That's cool.
Spicoli.
No.
Jeff
Fast
plays
Times at
every
Ridgemont
event
High.
that we do.
Yeah.
Where's Jeff from?
absolutely.
Do you know? Where's I mean, I should know this, but
I know him from like the Lombard area. I know he plays
he's
in
a
the
little-
Lombard leagues
he's
a
a
Chain
lot.
little
brains.
I think like Glen
Yeah.
Ellen
Yeah, yeah,
area.
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Sorry,
Always
Jeff,
comes
if
out.
I'm wrong.
I love
This question came from Jeff on Facebook. He wants to know, what ways can disc golf clubs and disc golfers contribute back to park districts and communities?
Awesome question. First of all, communicate with them, reach out to them first off, and let them know that there's a user group interested in the course that they've put in the ground,
Mhm.
or that you're a user group that wants to assist in getting a course in the ground.
Mm.
I think it's just a matter of making yourself known as a club or as a group first and foremost.
Sure.
And once they realize that there's a user group that is willing to do all the volunteer work and all the little things that they don't want to do
Mhm.
for them for free,
Right.
And I
Bo
will add on-
free?
yeah, like consistently voice your opinion and let them know. Like,
Right.
not an email one time
Create
and
a
you never heard
relationship
back.
and stick
But
to it.
like, force yourself to create a relationship.
yes.
Mhm.
Once they realize that there's that user group that's willing to contribute their time, money,
They'll be
and
over the moon.
effort, they will bend over backwards in most cases to say, okay, what do you guys need done? What can we
Right.
do? And what are you guys willing to do to get to that point? And once you can kind of develop that relationship and just give them something to know that you're serious and get their commitment as well, I think that's when the best park district and club relationships are formed for course improvements, new courses, and bigger and better potential for events.
Absolutely. And I'll add on to that just very quickly that even if you're not in touch directly with the park district, I mean, that is really important. You got to do that. But let's say you're having a hard time getting in touch. Some things you can do to improve the course and improve your community: pick up trash, walk around with a bag. Like, if you're going to go out and play, bring a little trash bag with you, pick things up. If something looks askew, don't be shy to just, put it back. Or if there's something that really needs to be fixed or looked at, make a note of it so you can send it to somebody that might be able to help. So if you're not in touch with the park district yet, these are things you can do.
I think
for
that
no
may be
effort at all.
a good way to reach out is not, hey, we're a group, but hey, we're this group and we've seen this that might need to be fixed.
Can we help?
Make it a specific point, give them, a frame of reference, and then I think it'll blossom from there.
Yeah.
So
Have an objective. If you want to replace baskets because they're old, that's the goal. You want to get new baskets, and then you can go to them with not only a problem but a solution. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're raising money for. I mean, this is what I do out at Delwood every day with the Lockport Park District. I've got a lot of experience with this stuff, and that's what I do. I mean, I talk to Jeff on a weekly basis, and it's like, okay, well, we checked that. We have the long N16. We paid for that. Now let's get the B pin in N16. I'm going to order the baskets, and I got to get the sign. So have an objective of what you're going to do.
Yeah, there's that. I would add there's probably a Facebook page or some place where the park district sends out communications about what's happening at the park. And if you can be involved in some of those other things that are not disc golf related, that'll probably help you build a good relationship with that park. Sorry to any questions we did not get to from mailbag. There are a couple really good questions here. Sorry, guys.
We'll save them for
we'll
next
get them for
week.
next time.
We'll get 'em.
Also, Sean, you need to come back to the thing you teased last week.
The DGCL?
The DGCL. That's what
Yeah.
I think that's what we're calling it.
feel it just rolls off it does it, Dan?
DGCL.
Yeah, what's really cool about this is that
he loves it.
you are a part of it and you don't even know it, and you're going to find out about it
right now,
literally in this moment.
So
sick.
This is DGCL, stands for the Disc Golf Chicago League. It is something we're going to introduce this year that is, I think, different to any other league format I've seen in disc golf before. If it's probably existed somewhere else and I just don't know about it.
May have, yeah.
But what it is basically an opportunity for clubs to compete against each other in a league format rather than one big tournament day. Yeah. And the idea is to treat it like the NFL of disc golf, where on Sunday we have a schedule. We know which clubs are playing who. We have a lot to figure out in terms of how the logistics and format. We have a lot of ideas on paper, but the general idea is 6 or 8 clubs are going to be competing over the course of, 6 or 8 weeks. We have.
It's not like an all tags round. This week, one club plays another club, and they get a win or a loss.
And there's a sick, nasty trophy at the end of the season.
And it's only one representative from each division that we will predetermine will represent for the clubs. Like, for example, I think we said that we were going to have 4 people per club.
Yeah, each week.
Each week.
Yeah.
So, you're going to have an MPO guy, an MA1 guy, MA2, MA3, something like that. Or the 4th division might be a women's or an MA50 type of a thing, where in the case, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people, Basket Cases does Sunday. Well, I don't want to miss, how does Basket Cases play? And I don't want to miss, Sundays, because we're going to do it on Sundays. I think we figured out we're probably going to do it on Sunday. Yeah. That it only requires 4 people from each club to come, not
the whole
everybody
club.
From the club.
And then for the people that didn't get to participate in the big club challenge, there's an opportunity for them to represent their club in another way throughout the year. And you can't have the same members playing every week.
Yeah, it's a very similar feel, but it's a weekly.
There's going to be like a sort of roster requirements. We don't know exactly what they are, but you're going to have a PDGA membership. We know that. Yep. So if you don't have one of those, sorry, this just won't be for you. But
join the PDGA.
Yeah, do that.
Join the PDGA today.
PDGA.com. And the other thing is that everyone is going to be required to wear some kind of jersey or something that's like, I know what team that is. I know what team you're from.
Rep your club.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be an opportunity for the competitive scene between clubs we're going to water that garden a little bit.
That sauce that everybody, that we could see that is being built with Circle One, that Basket Cases has been doing for a while, that you guys obviously do at Bird Brain. It's that purpose that we talked about earlier is this league for the clubs where, I think we can kind of mention the clubs that we're thinking about using. I mean, we're going to have, it's fun, like a guy like Rafa, who I would think is going to probably play for Fox Valley Metro.
Yeah, we have 6 clubs in mind, and obviously we have not brought this to these club leaders yet, but you're going to hear about it now or
and we're
later.
We're going to be reaching out to you by the time you hear this.
So we have in mind Bird Brain, Skulls, Circle One, J-Town, Fox Valley, Basket Cases. And it's not written in stone yet that it's just 6. So I guess
6 makes sense to us now.
It makes good sense. Yeah. If there's a club out there that I haven't heard much from lately or haven't heard about, and you hear this and you want to be involved, let us know. This stuff is not going to probably kick off until August.
A little
later
bit,
in the summer.
Yeah,
there's time, but it's something we're brewing up. And if you have questions, you can shoot them to us. I don't know that we'll have the answers yet, but we're figuring it out.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
either
on
way,
the
it's going to happen. So.
Yeah. And we're thinking, I'm sure one of the
happening.
questions is where is it going to travel? I think what we've discussed so far is that it will be at Delwood.
First season at Delwood.
First season will probably just, it's kind of rough, but I feel like Delwood is maybe a little bit more centrally located for everybody.
For the logistics of all this, it'll make sense. But I am already excited about season 2, where every club has to designate a home course.
Home and away, baby.
And when you've got the home course advantage. You don't want to play. You don't want to play Bird Brain at Shady. Like I don't want to play Circle One at Mokina because that's their stuff. So
or the upsets that come from the defeats of those home courses.
The glory.
Ooh.
So how do you feel about that? What are your initial thoughts?
I'm so excited. That sounds awesome. I've had some similar talks with Kenny Slauson regarding doing something in terms of a club versus club, couple guys here, couple guys there type challenge where we travel to them, they travel to us. But I think that you want to get all the clubs involved to a point. I think that that's such an awesome idea to where it's, you know, it's like the NFL. You're playing club on Sunday. We got the W. All right, we got the L. What can we do for next week? You know, who are we going to pick?
I love
week?
that that's going to put the leaders of the clubs in these interesting positions where you really have to coach. You have to like mentor your players. You have to know who your support coaches are. And it's going to put some responsibility on the players to not just like showing up and practicing, and like it's going to elevate everybody's role within the clubs. And I think everyone's going to want to fight for those spots. And then, you know what? I think when you get to a point where, you know, with these clubs that have huge memberships and people really want to be involved, maybe they start thinking, look, I'm going to make a little fraction. I'm going to have my own little team within the club so that we can compete in this next season. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I love the idea of more clubs springing up. Everybody has a chance to, you know, to rep something.
And also, I mean, a quick question for Dan. With everything that you're already balancing, I get this is something that I've been thinking about. The big ask that we would be asking guys like yourself, you know, managing everything that you already do. We've covered that, but then is this too much? Is this like, hey, I'm already doing, you know, league twice a week at Rolling Knolls, and you know, how am I going to manage talking to, you know, making sure 4 of my guys show up to Delwood or wherever that is, if that changes? What are your thoughts on that as we ask 5 other dudes who also have other responsibilities within the club, like, hey, you're doing what you're doing, but also you have to manage this and communicate and use the social media and make all this happen. What are your thoughts?
I think given the significance and the substance of what the DGCL actually is going to be and how it's different from anything else that we are currently doing, and just the level of excitement that it's going to bring, I don't feel like it's going to add any extra pressure or labor to the point where it's not going to be rewarding and worth it in the end. But I think it's just going to be fun being able to draft up these groups of 4 and talking to your club as a whole, as a big team, saying like, yeah, we're going to go and kick Basket Case's ass, you know, or anything like that, you know. So Kyle, so Adrian, so Trevor, Alyssa, you 4, you're going to kick Basket Case's ass this weekend, and you guys are going to do great. And then you 4, you're going to go and take on Skulls next weekend, and let's go. Let's go undefeated. We're going to go undefeated.
That's what we wanted to hear. That is how we want it to be.
Yeah.
Clubs already are a labor of love, and I think that adding things that have that extra flair and excitement only add to the point of the love.
Purpose, the whole thing. Yeah.
Bring it.
Beautiful.
Bring it. DGCL. Can't
That's
wait.
the feel we want.
Let's go.
That's it.
Keep an eye out. We'll have more news on that coming soon. Last thing before we go, next episode, keep an eye out. We're going to hopefully have it out in 2 weeks. I think that's what we're aiming for now. The subject is going to be about building a course. And we may just learn how the canyons came to be. Until then,
Who would we talk to about that?
I don't know.
anybody know it?
I know a guy.
We'll find somebody.
Maybe we'll get Dan back on.
Not free. I'm busy.
He's busy.
I'm busy.
All right. Until
We'll get
next
you
time,
up.
guys. We will see you later or see you on another time.